The pregnancy test slipped from my shaking fingers and hit the bathroom floor. 2 red lines. Impossible. Because the only man who had touched me was my uncle. My name is Diana Miller. I was 24 years old. Engaged. Happy. Planning my wedding in Austin, Texas. I believed my life was finally coming together. I trusted my family, especially my uncle, Dr. Richard Hale, the man who destroyed everything. Dr. Richard Hale wasn't just my uncle. He was a respected gynecologist, a church donor, a man everyone called kind and selfless. Women trusted him. Families praised him. My mother always said, "You're lucky to have an uncle like Richard." I believed her. That belief nearly killed me. A month before my wedding, I started feeling unwell. Nausea, dizziness, strange pain. My mother suggested I see Uncle Richard. "He's family," she said. "He'll take care of you." I hesitated, but I agreed. That decision changed my life forever. His clinic was clean and quiet. Too quiet. He smiled when he saw me. "Diana," he said warmly, "you've grown so much." I felt uncomfortable, but I ignored the feeling. Doctors know best, right? That's what I told myself. He closed the door, locked it. "That's standard procedure," he said calmly. My heart began to race. He told me to lie down. Then his tone changed. Colder. Controlled. What happened next shattered my trust, my safety, and my soul. I froze. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. And when it was over, he looked at me and said, "No one would ever believe you." I went home numb. I didn't tell my fiancé, Mark Reynolds. I didn't tell my mother. I blamed myself. I tried to forget, but my body remembered. Weeks later, the sickness returned. Stronger. That's when I bought the test. 2 red lines. I collapsed against the wall. "This can't be happening," I whispered. I hadn't been with Mark. There was only one possible truth. And it made me sick. I told my best friend Sarah Collins. She didn't hesitate. "This is rape," she said firmly. "And he's done this before." My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" Sarah swallowed. "My cousin went to him years ago," she said. She disappeared for months. Suddenly, pieces started fitting together. Too perfectly. Sarah helped me research. Complaints. Settlements. Women silenced with money. Dr. Richard Hale wasn't just my uncle. He was a predator. And he had a system. That night, I received a text from an unknown number. "You need to come see me. We can fix this quietly." I knew who it was. And I knew something worse was coming. The text message was still glowing on my phone. "We can fix this quietly." My uncle knew. And he wasn't afraid. I didn't want to go. Every part of me screamed no. But Sarah held my hands and said, "If you don't face him now, he'll control you forever." So the next morning, I walked back into the clinic. The same white walls. The same fake smile. But this time, I was awake. Dr. Richard Hale didn't waste time. He closed the door again, sat across from me, and said calmly, "You're pregnant." I know. My stomach turned. "You violated me," I whispered. He sighed like I was annoying him. "Diana," he said, "let's not use emotional words." That's when I knew. This wasn't his first time. He slid an envelope across the desk. Inside was cash. A lot of it. "I'll take care of everything," he said. Doctors, paperwork, even. Options. I felt sick. "You mean abortion," I said. "If that's what you choose," he replied smoothly. "Or I can arrange something else." Something else. Like buying my silence. When I didn't touch the envelope, his tone changed. "You're about to get married," he said. "Do you really want this destroying your life?" My hand shook. "Tell anyone," he continued. "And your family will hate you. Your fiancé will leave. And I'll still be fine." That's when fear turned into fire. I stood up. "I'm not afraid of you," I lied. He smiled slowly. "You should be." I walked out anyway. But my legs felt weak. Because part of me feared he was right. That night, I told Mark everything. I expected anger, disgust, hate. Instead, he cried. And held me. "This wasn't your fault," he said again and again. but I saw the pain in his eyes. Our wedding plans sat untouched on the table, dreams cracking quietly. 2 days later, Sarah called me in a panic. "There's someone you need to meet," she said. We met Emily Parker at a cafe. She was pale, older than me, and pregnant. When she spoke, my blood ran cold. "Dr. Hale told me the same things," she said. Same room, same words. I wasn't alone. Emily had gone to him after a miscarriage. Vulnerable, grieving. He comforted her, then destroyed her. He paid her once, threatened her later. She stayed silent. Until now. "He's done this for years," she whispered. My uncle wasn't just a monster. He was organized. We went to the police. The officer listened, then frowned. "Dr. Hale is powerful," he said carefully. "These cases are difficult." I felt the old fear creeping back. But then Emily stood up straight. "We're not going away," she said. And neither was I. That night, I prayed for the first time in months. "God," I whispered, "if you see everything, please don't look away now." I didn't know if justice would come. But I knew one thing. Dr. Richard Hale had underestimated us. The next morning, the police called. "We found more names," the officer said. "Many more. And one of them belonged to someone I loved." The call came late at night. My mother's voice trembled on the phone. "Diana, I think your uncle might have hurt someone else, someone close to us." I froze. My heart pounded. "Who?" I whispered. She didn't answer at first. He targeted your cousin, Rebecca," she said finally. I felt my stomach drop. Rebecca was barely 22. Sweet, quiet, and my mother's niece. I can't believe this," I whispered. My mother continued. "I think he used every vulnerable woman in the family before you knew what was happening." The next day, Sarah helped me track Rebecca down. She was shaking, scared, but determined. "He told me no one would believe me," Rebecca said quietly. I stayed silent because I was ashamed. Her story was almost identical to mine. Same office. Same manipulations. Same threats. I felt anger, sorrow, and fear collide inside me. "We're going to stop him," I whispered. Rebecca nodded. "I don't want anyone else to be trapped." Dr. Hale knew the walls were closing in. I received another message from his private line. "Stop this now, or your life will be ruined. Your fiancé will leave, and your mother will regret ever trusting you." I held the phone shaking, but I didn't delete it. "I'm not afraid anymore," I told Sarah. "We're going public." Dr. Hale's reputation extended beyond his clinic. He donated money to the church. He was seen as a pillar of the community. When we started talking to victims, rumors spread. Women whispered in pews. Families argued behind closed doors. One member even warned me, "Be careful, he's untouchable." I clenched my fists. "God is not blind," I said. "I know justice will come." The police brought in more evidence. Former employees. Financial records. Emails threatening victims. Dr. Hale's scheme wasn't just abuse. It was organized, deliberate manipulation. The officer looked at me grimly. "Diana, you might have stopped him before he could ruin dozens more lives." I felt a mix of pride and guilt. All because I had survived. My mother confronted me one evening. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I was scared," I said honestly. "And I didn't want to believe he could do this." She hugged me, tears running down her face. "I know. I failed to see it too. But now we can fight together." It felt like the first time in months I could breathe. But danger was still near. Emily, Rebecca, and I held a press conference. We told our stories. We didn't hold back. We named names. The community gasped. The headlines screamed. "Respected doctor exposed. Multiple women speak out." Dr. Hale tried to defend himself, claiming innocence. But the evidence and the courage of survivors were unstoppable. That night, I prayed quietly in my bedroom. "Lord, thank you for seeing every secret, every lie, every hidden pain. Let justice be done." For the first time since the trauma, I felt a sense of peace. Not because the nightmare was over, but because truth had power. The next morning, the police called. "Dr. Hale has been arrested." But he's asking for a private hearing, and he knows powerful people in town are watching him. I realized justice was close, but he would try to fight back until the last second. The courtroom was packed. I sat in the front row, my hands shaking as Dr. Hale walked in. He smiled at me. That smile, the one that made me feel sick. "You think this ends today?" he whispered under his breath. The judge called the court to order. I took a deep breath. Mark held my hand. Sarah sat beside me. Rebecca was in the back, pale but steady. The first woman to testify was Emily. Her voice shook but never broke. "He took my trust, my safety, and threatened me into silence," she said. The courtroom was silent. Everyone listened. Even Dr. Hale's lawyers looked uneasy. When it was Dr. Hale's turn, he smirked. "This is all lies," he said smoothly. "I'm being persecuted because of jealousy and misunderstanding." He tried to twist the story. He tried to make the women seem guilty. But the judge stopped him sharply. "Silence," the judge said. "This court will not allow manipulation or intimidation." Even with power and money, he could not escape the truth. Finally, it was my turn. I stood. My voice trembled. "I trusted him," I said. "My family trusted him. And he used that trust to destroy lives." I held up the evidence: emails, messages, and recorded threats. "Justice is not about money," I continued. "It's about truth. About protecting those who are vulnerable." The courtroom went still. Even the reporters seemed to hold their breath. My mother cried silently. Rebecca squeezed my hand. Mark whispered, "You're so strong, Diana." I had never felt that kind of courage before. I realized courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was facing the fear and standing anyway. Dr. Hale's lawyers attacked me, Sarah, and the other women. "You're motivated by revenge," they yelled. "You're trying to destroy a man's reputation." But the judge called them out. "This is not about revenge," she said. "This is about protecting women from a predator." Every lie he tried to tell crumbled. Then the final piece of evidence was presented. Video of him threatening another patient. Financial records showing hush payments. Testimonies from former staff about his manipulations. The court gasped. Even the jurors who had seemed skeptical now looked grim. The power was finally shifting. I whispered quietly to myself, "God, thank you for seeing all of this." Faith had carried me this far. Not blind faith. Faith in truth, in courage, and in justice. And now, the truth was shining. After hours of testimony and deliberation, the jury returned. The courtroom was tense. The judge read the verdict. Dr. Richard Hale is guilty on all charges. Gasps filled the room. Dr. Hale's face went pale. He didn't speak. Justice had been served. The women hugged. I cried silently in Mark's arms. Rebecca whispered, "Finally, we are free." Even my mother hugged me tightly. "You were so brave," she said. For the first time in months, I felt peace. But as we left the courthouse, a reporter shouted, "Do you think he'll appeal?" I looked at Mark, at Sarah, at Rebecca, and realized, even when justice is served, he may never fully face God's judgment. The courtroom doors closed behind us, and I felt a weight lift off my chest. But I knew the journey wasn't over. Justice was served, yes, but healing takes time. A few weeks later, I sat in my apartment in Austin with Sarah and Rebecca. We laughed softly for the first time in months. "It feels strange," Rebecca said. "Like we're allowed to breathe again." I nodded. I never realized how heavy fear could be until it was gone. My mother came over every evening. She cooked, we talked, and she apologized repeatedly. "I failed you," she said once, tears rolling down her cheeks. "No, Mom," I replied. "You didn't. We survived together." Our family bond had changed. It was stronger because we had faced the truth together. Mark and I finally returned to planning the wedding. At first, it felt impossible. How could we celebrate after so much pain? But Mark took my hands. "Diana, we survived. This wedding is about hope, not fear." I smiled. For the first time, I felt excited again. Emily and Rebecca also began rebuilding. Emily returned to work, confident and empowered. Rebecca started volunteering to help other women who faced abuse. We stayed in touch. We became a support system, a family of survivors. One evening, I sat by my window, looking at the Austin skyline. I whispered a prayer. Thank you for seeing everything, for giving me courage and strength. I realized, courage doesn't mean we never feel fear. Courage means facing it. Truth doesn't mean the past disappears. Truth means the future can be rebuilt. The wedding was simple, beautiful, and filled with love. Mark held my hand tightly. Sarah and Rebecca were by my side. Even my mother cried tears of joy. I walked down the aisle, feeling strong, whole, and free. And as I looked at Mark, I knew we weren't just celebrating our love. We were celebrating survival, courage, and justice. Dr. Hale was sentenced to prison. The women who had stayed silent for years finally found their voices. We had been broken, but we were no longer powerless. God had seen everything, and justice had been done. This story isn't about the darkness that can exist in people. It's about standing up for yourself, the power of truth, faith and courage, finding light even after unimaginable pain. And in the end, we found peace, love, and hope. If this story inspired you, share it to support survivors of abuse. Like and subscribe for more real-life stories of courage, justice, and healing. Comment below. What would you do if faced with injustice? How would you find courage?